the central sign when you start to make workshops. The students come and give you the column, the Taube, yeah, whatever. Yeah, but I think you know all what they give us, or they give you the rainbow.
Also, also peace and love.
The peace and love, and you have these three signs who function like a logo, and all other expression have no value. And this is again about knowledge and not knowledge, forgotten knowledge, and illegitimate knowledge. After a while working locally in these workshops, people started just because you start to listen. What are your stories about? Bring local stories. Like in China, we found this dragon, which is an indicator, and just come up if you have a peaceful environment. And all kids knew this because of their grandparents, but they were ashamed to the students were ashamed to show this because they said, "Oh, this is old fashioned and this is tradition and so on." And I think with your museum, you started a project about the memory of people, and the people had, which tells the story of a place, of a village or a city of the 60s, and which was marked by the East German and communist history, and people started to hide this part of the history. But in the apartments, they all have these signs. And when you opened again to say me speaking about this history, bring us, they brought so much histories and they were completely able to deconstruct the ideological part from the memory part and from and I think this is very, very interesting force which a design can have in these forms of representation. You can re assemble things and change the writing. Like one basic is very important for the autonomy of everyone is that you have the confidence that the other will be able to read the things in the way, in a constructive way. Coming back to this.
I think it's the thing that you tell this morning between when you look at cartography planning and the teacher explain you the cartography. For me, it's the same. The same. You can for dispatching the means for the work, but there is also the question of the presence of design. Qu'est-ce qui arrive quand le designer n'est plus là pour être médiateur?
What will happen when the designer is not there anymore and to mediate
and explain this form. So it's also a question with the present and with the filter of our forms, I think.
Yeah, I think since you are a teacher yourself.
Yes, but is it not the base of visual communication to say the visual communication, why we start visual communication, is the absence of the author who works. So how you go from an oral communication to a visual or a writing communication is the absence of the author. En français.
Vas-y en français.
La base de la communication visuelle, mais aussi de l'écriture, c'est bien l'absence de la personne qui transmet le message. C'est bien tout le challenge, c'est d'arriver à faire que la réception correspond à l'intention de l'auteur le plus possible. Hein. On voit qu'il y a des décalages, etc. Et tout l'art du design, c'est bien d'être absent.
That's why I'm bringing a term in by trying to translate that resume is that this act to represent, and the designer is trying to find a form and doing a translation from what the author, if you try to represent a concept or represent I don't know, a speech in a graphic design or visual way, you try, or if you create a building, you try to give the form, to transform what the author or the sender gave as information. And there you have different ways to do it. You can, and it's very interesting. We worked together with a translator, and we made an interview who's translating the books of Stuart Hall. I don't know, for those who know him, cultural well-known theoretician from cultural studies, and she said, "I can't just translate. I have to translate the context." We're coming back to what we have said. I have. That's why I have to make an index, because I can't. If I would translate, it would not be understood. And she became the personal translator for this theoretician, because she developed an architecture of thinking in, and she transposed the architecture of thinking of his mother language into a new architecture of thinking in the other language context, because with all the history, you have a different theoretical architecture in the Anglo-Saxonian than, for example, in the French. And it's a very interesting work of translation. I think that's precisely what you are doing, but often we are missing the context. We are missing, and that's why you started this project here. Because in the beginning, we are speaking about this problem, and we're doing a lot of subtitles. We are doing a lot of discussions how we could find the perfect form. But finally, those who are perceiving an exhibition are just receiving this final form and not all this content information, which would be important to understand.
Also not the question, also scientists.
The doubts, the questions.
The doubts and process.
A lot of years ago, I drew a brochure for Civic and for the first year. And we do a poetic test, and one of the titles is Civic. This is the title of the Pirandello work. And for us is a certain type of machinery. When we give this to a German, we do the content is very, very happy, it's very beautiful text, and then we have to translate in German. And in German, they chose one. That translation was horrible, and I don't like it, so we find another one, and he said that the title Civic he translates like the text which is over the Auschwitz.
La porta
Rapport di Auschwitz. So this is one interest man who live in Italy, and we say no, we don't want the literary traduction. We want that you rearrange the text to transmit the same idea, but in another context. Because
I think you have here in Italy the god of all this problem is Umberto Eco. And his book about translation is absolutely, I say it also for all the students, is absolutely essential, and is more easy as many books of Umberto Eco, because many are not so easy. But he has also written another book where perhaps a little bit more in context with what we write, what we think in the moment is les limites de l'interprétation. So the limit where how come we in this situation to have difficulty to to traduce or to imagine or to understand. And we do it on the base of literature, James Joyce and all those things. And it's really a book who's also, I think each of us has to read it for this project, because he it's not what we discussed this morning. It's the contrary about what we discussed, because we say it's not only the non-sapere, it's not only this difficulty, it's also other elements, but I think it's also interesting to understand.
That's interesting because
Et pour les Français, il faut rajouter Barbara Cassin.
Yeah, that's Barbara Cassin, who did this very important philosophical dictionary, where she translated philosophical concepts which are not, and she's calling this untranslatable, the intraduisible, the concept which you can't translate. And which have its quality because they are really connected with this architecture, and you need more than just one word to transfer it into the other context. And I think this is
or to bring difference of senses, big differences of senses.
In Italian is the book of Eco is dire quasi la stessa cosa, that is tell the same about the same things.
With
other words,
the concept of the translation. Yes.
And we do also this with visual. We traduce other language with visual.
And I think
I was thinking about I was thinking about Ingo's the last book, Ingo, Imagining for Real, and it came to you are and everything confidence. Yeah, but like what does mean creation, and it was really relating creation to imagination. Actually, when you create something, you're also imagining what you're like thinking. So, and I think that's really important for us as designers, like even for graphic design and both architecture.
Why I present you this morning this book about the world and the image is that inside of this book he explains the process of imagination in a very easy way, to say, okay, what did we do when we, and I think it's very important when we go at this end, at this border of non-savoir, to say, at this moment happens something who the codes don't exist, or the codes are dominant, or the codes are forgotten, or the codes are not in syntax with in relation with what we try to do. So all these elements, I think we have to deconstruct also.
Yeah.
And this part, I think, of our exhibition to also understand what are mistakes of understanding. Where are the gaps in between elements we think we know, banal, but the end is absolutely not banal. It's very more complex than what we represent or what we bring in tension in between words and images. And how can we work on this?
I think it's what again François Gignan is speaking about, this productive gap where you're still in relation and you're still in contact, but it's a gap, and this makes the chance. So the misunderstanding is not the problem if you are in the conscious that not in the conscious, but in conscious that it's a misunderstanding. We are permanently misunderstanding us, but we think we understand us, and this is the danger. Because then we think we have the same concepts of perception, and it's not matching, and the moment when we are not finding the same word or we are irritated, this is the moment where you are in strong connection with, because you want to find not a consensus but an understanding, and you are searching together for a common interpretation of the situation. But I would like, yeah.
Representation, because then you create this unity that your team or the engineer, the people working on the initial concept, understand something, but to keep as long as possible using other support models, text, images, etc. So no architectural support. In order to make people, as you say, people feel they live a meeting, I know what but in fact, they don't know because we haven't represented. And then next meeting, you realize that you didn't understand at all what you were talking, and then propose something which in fact maybe is going to be better, or to be an improvement, etc. And I think that as soon as you start to use your proper visual language, it takes you from many possibilities. Again, we have knowledge and non-knowledge because this is what that we teach for the card, the desk, whatever. So as soon as it goes to this, what language, you don't give the opportunity to your team or people to interfere because then that's the support. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
Non, non, il faut
Parce qu'ils t'entendent pas.
Ah, je suis ouais.
Yeah.
Voilà.
Yeah.
But the point is, again, we are really sorry about that. Also to use, and I don't know what you mean for you, but your job is to graphic design, could be also to use different support than yours that master so well, but very early stage, focus on one direction. But it's not, I'm agree with you it's a principle, but it's not every time you have to change the language, it's how did you represent, how much you give to see. I think this through days we see that the media of visuality block also limit and things for you to check. And how can we, with visual elements, let open, don't, don't speak about color, don't speak about material, speak about the concept or the process or this kind of element, and then come the moment of visualization. And I do this also often because also it's a moment of contract. So you are contracting with your client and say, okay, this is the subject. So we don't speak about form. This is the concept. This is what we will do, and then this different form or different forms.
But I think what is very, very interesting, and that's what we try to do here, is exactly this transdisciplinary approach. What does this mean to keep an open form and to let imaginaries come up? And I work with my daughter on Dürremat. I don't know, it's maybe not known from everyone, but it's a Swiss writer who made also thousands of images. He made drawings. But officially, he's very known for his pieces and so on. And he said, I'm drawing, because for in the beginning of writing, I have an imagination and I have an image in my head, and I'm translating and bringing it to another form. And then I'm using again the drawing when I have not the words for represent what I want to say. And I'm constantly going from sketching, drawing, giving form, subtraction, taking the form again back. It's destroying and reconstructed, but it has different forms of representation, and I think it's very interesting what
Pictures, yeah.
yeah, and often theater and this is. You don't hear us?
Ils ont écrit sur le chat.
No, the
Can
sound.
you look on it so we go off?
Yeah, and because we now we would like to go to our, but I think
No, it is open now.
now it's open.
C'est dans les messages, ils ont écrit.
On vous a entendu, c'était juste un problème avec quand Jacques a parlé parce que le micro était trop loin.
I just say resume with two words, and then I give over to Martin's brief, and I try to combine this what Jacques said to us, because he spoke about architectural projects and about the moment when you're developing a concept. I like very much, and we referring often to Glissant, to writer and poet from Martinique, who's speaking of poetcept, which is a poetic form of conceptualization. And what Jacques said is that in an architectural program or an architectural project, and in design programs, very often designers or students come very quick with proposals, give very quick the final form, and then you do variations of this form, but it's so much already filling the idea. So when we start to represent, so he is trying to bring as long as possible in the conception phases, text, sound, other media and information, but not already the image, the final image. And what we use is often a kind of imperfect or an image which is not closing because it's the final image, but it's always a strong moment because you are guiding the measurement. And this is something where we start, and I think to have this confidence that this moment of disorientation and opening is productive for the development of the final concept, because you have more inputs than if you close very quick and you bring into a form the moment when you are still in the inspiring. And it's so interesting. And with this, I make the link with Martin's brief, who's hopefully there. Is she there?
Martine, tu es là? Martine Script.
Lost in space. But where we tried to, but we try. If not, we make her a recording, and if she's appearing, we stop the recording because we made a pre-recording. I just wanted to say that inspiring have this word to inspire. So there's physical acts to be inspired, but you have to also let the air go and circulate, and if you are just inspired, you will explode. And I think this is a very, very important and crazy thing that a lot of people have this problem, that it sucks, and it's not this, it's an act of confidence to let go. And the last moment is the moment, and we will come to this, I guess, with Sandra, is the moment where it's the last moment of exploration. And I think this is a very interesting moment of flow. And since Martine is also working with Qigong and with practicing Chinese medicine as being originally a biologist, I would again like to invite her to speak. But are you there, Martine? And if not, she has sent us, wise as she is, a recording, and we start with this recording, and we see if she will appear during this moment. And Martine?
I was talking on the phone with her, and she doesn't know how to connect. I already explained her and sent her the link, but apparently she's having some troubles.
Okay. Oh, but because yesterday she was connected the whole day.
Alors, tu l'entends un peu. Alors, on va passer d'abord ce que tu nous as envoyé hier. C'est bon? Oui, on a reçu et je t'ai répondu.
Can you make her a Zoom?
D'accord.
Can you send her a Zoom link? And we do the Zoom?
On passe ça en premier, et puis après, on va parler de ça.
Yeah.
Ok? Je reste en ligne. Hein?
Okay.
Merci, Martin.
Processus de transformation permanent. Il n'est pas immobilisé, il n'est pas stable. Cette représentation de la vie que je voudrais aborder avec vous. Disons que avant la vie, déjà, il y a une course énorme entre les spermatozoïdes qui veulent atteindre un ovule. Mais ils ne savent pas que s'ils atteignent cet ovule, s'ils arrivent à le toucher, l'ovule les éjectera, ils disparaîtront. Donc, c'est une espèce de chemin et de course permanente des différents éléments de la vie. Je vais prendre un exemple.
I just translate, so we share. So, Martine, this is really our time. We have the telephone, we have the computer, we are here, so it's an overlapping of. And this fits very well with Martine, who's a person who has a very complex and genius brain, and and he's translating back to her, I say, and who is dealing with this complexity. But what she started to say, and she gave the example of the moment when life starts to be the first moment of life, that we are in a permanent running and of the spermatozoid, which joins the ovary. So which joins this moment when these two are coming, which is almost an accident, but it's a very fast process. And we are in this permanent transformation modus, so that we are not in a kind of stable form. And this is the beginning of a completely different perception. And we will hear how she's now explaining this, she's giving an example, which I don't know.
Donc, en plus du spermatozoïde et de l'ovule qu'il cherche à atteindre, qu'il cherche à pénétrer, et où il meurt quand il a pénétré. L'ovule lui-même, d'ailleurs, une fois qu'il a été fécondé, il se transforme. Il se transforme immédiatement. Et il commence à se diviser. Donc, déjà, cette transformation, c'est ce qui fait la vie. C'est le fait de se transformer en permanence. Donc, je vais prendre l'élément qui, de mon point de vue, en tout cas, est le moteur de ces transformations. C'est les émotions, les états émotionnels. Les états émotionnels.
Donc she speaks about this moment when the overeat is connecting with the parents soul and it's dying. So it's a moment of creation and living, and it's the same moment, moment of dying. But in the first case, it's a moment of transformation. It's a permanent transformation, and by this division, she is saying she's interested in this energy on this motor, which is giving this power of this permanent transformation. She's saying that emotions have
à chaque instant du processus de transformation du corps. Je vais prendre l'exemple d'un passage. Donc, une personne qui me suit déjà depuis un certain temps et qui a des blocages un peu partout, on va dire. Qui avait des blocages un peu partout, on va dire au passé. Sa tête est bloquée, ses épaules sont courbées, ses poumons étaient bloqués. Et il marchait comme un petit oiseau qui court en permanence sur le bout des doigts de pied. Pourtant, c'est un bel homme. Alors pourquoi est-il comme ça? Je lui ai demandé, je fais des séances maintenant qui ont pour objectif de faire éliminer les émotions qui bloquent le corps, de leur permettre de se transformer. Donc, la personne parle, et là, dans le cas présent, elle raconte, je lui demande un moment qui est vraiment un moment où il y a une émotion très forte qui était là dans sa vie. Il me dit que c'était au moment de la puberté et qu'il était mort de peur par une situation assez inhabituelle, qui dormait dans une pièce au 6e étage, au-dessus de 6 étages au-dessus de son père. Et quand le père rentrait, il venait tout doucement tourner la serrure pour voir si son fils dormait. Et ce geste, qui aurait pu être un geste d'amour reçu comme tel par le gamin, n'était pas du tout reçu comme tel. L'enfant voyait la serrure, on va dire la poignée tournée. Il voyait que quelqu'un essayait de rentrer, mais il ne savait pas que c'était son père. Donc il était mort de peur. À chaque fois que cela se passait, il était terrorisé. Cette chambre qui était au 6e étage n'était plus une chambre de sécurité, mais une chambre où il vivait à chaque fois un moment de terreur.
So she's describing the situation of one patient with whom she works and who had the body was blocked. He on different levels, as you described for another situation. And the body gave these informations of blockage, which you could have seen. And he walked on the feet like she said, like a bird as a symptom. And she came and her way to get rid of this blockation was to calm down the emotions which have been inscribed. This is the memory of the body, and we spoke about this. The memory of the body, which is a kind of information which is last in the program. And this program is reproduced even if the situation was far in the history. And And she said this, she's describing the situation. One is traumatization, and traumatization is exactly this. Traumatization is an inscription of a program to which you don't have direct access anymore, but it's like in a computer still going again and again producing the same symptoms. Um, and she spoke of the situation that it was in puberty and the person was in his room, six levels higher than his father, and the father climbed up and opened the door, and the boy had seen this gesture, and this gesture was inscribed in his memory, and was like the déclencheur, not the teaser, but the, I will come back to this word, who was always reactivating the program. And this I'm adding, this is not what she has said, but in different formats to address this is what is one interest to disconnect the information. You can't describe the information because this has been lived, but you can deconnect the, the emotion from the information. So then the information is there, but it's not again reproducing the same traumatism you have lived before. And the difficult thing is if you can find again the moment or the trigger, then you have access. But sometimes the trigger is that you have lived this trauma situation, but there was a raindrop, and you don't connect the raindrop. It's not the important information to the situation, but the brain is connecting the raindrop with traumatism. And then it's very difficult to find the initial moment where your brain is triggered. And she is working on this deblocage of this trigger moments. And it's all about the question of emotions. So I think she will speak.
Donc on est parti de cette situation qui était en plein moment de la puberté. La puberté, c'est aussi un moment de transformation du corps. Une partie du corps s'arrête de fonctionner d'une certaine manière, une autre pense et fonctionne autrement. Donc, les organes se transforment à toute vitesse, très très rapidement. Et je me demandais pourquoi il avait toujours l'air d'un enfant. Effectivement, donc il m'a raconté cette histoire de grande peur au moment de la puberté. Je lui ai demandé de se connecter à toutes mes pratiques pour objectif de faire disparaître des peurs et des traumatismes et de libérer le corps de cette manière. Donc la personne est assise sur la temporelle face à moi, je lui demande de décliner, de décrire la situation. Donc là, il me raconte l'histoire de cette chambre au 6e étage, où il était régulièrement mort de peur, en pleine métamorphose de la puberté. Comme tous les animaux, l'homme, au moment de ces métamorphoses, il devient très fragile, extrêmement fragile. Donc voilà. À ce moment-là, je lui demande de fermer les yeux et me décrire ce qui se passait à cette époque-là. Donc, faire ressortir de sa mémoire l'émotion qui était là et qui l'a terrorisé. À partir de ce moment, son corps s'est mis en marche. C'est-à-dire que cette émotion a déclenché au niveau de son corps toute une série on va dire, de phénomènes, on pourrait le dire comme ça. Les organes ont commencé à réagir. Un petit peu, d'abord au niveau du thorax, c'est-à-dire que c'est les pleurs le fait d'être enfermés dans cette chambre, qui sont sortis les premiers. Donc, les poumons commençaient à pleurer, au sens premier du terme, pour se libérer. Ça ne s'est pas complètement libéré parce que ça a continué plus loin. Donc, j'ai fait 4 passages. 4 passages, c'est beaucoup. Ça dure presque 3 heures. À chaque fois, on faisait le point. Donc, premier passage, les poumons réagissent. Deuxième passage, ça commence à travailler au niveau du ventre. Il y a plein de choses qui commencent à travailler dans tous les sens. Troisième passage, ça continue à travailler au niveau du ventre et il se passe un phénomène magnifique, si je puis dire, c'est qu'au niveau de son organe sexuel, le pénis a comme envie de se développer, de devenir plus puissant, de devenir fort. Et donc, il ressent cette puissance qui anime son pénis soudainement. Il faut savoir que c'est quelqu'un qui n'a jamais pu faire d'enfant, bien évidemment. Donc, d'un seul coup, cette force arrive dans le pénis. Il me l'a décrit. Et ça, il se passe quelque chose donc, dans la partie basse de son corps. On fait un passage, et là, c'est bien au-delà du pénis que ça va réagir. Toute l'énergie qui chez lui était concentrée vers le haut, bloquée au niveau de ses épaules et de son thorax, se met à descendre jusqu'au niveau des pieds. Et il décrit quelque chose qui est absolument magnifique, qu'il a les pieds très lourds, extrêmement lourds. Des pieds de mammouth, soudainement. Or, quand quelqu'un a toute sa puissance au niveau des pieds, il est fort, il est puissant. C'est pas du tout la même chose que d'avoir des trucs au niveau de la tête ou du thorax, ou même du haut des intestins. Donc, le voilà qui, d'un seul coup, en sortant, au bout de un peu plus de 2 heures quand même, de plusieurs passages, toujours les yeux fermés, où la transformation des émotions a transformé son corps. Ces émotions, en fait, se sont libérées. Les émotions qui étaient bloquées se sont libérées et ont libéré son corps. Je raconte cette histoire parce que d'autres plus simples.
Je vais vite résumer parce que c'est ce que Martine a décrit là. I'm just explaining the process of what she's saying is, I would say healing, but is to liberate the body of this blocking force that she tried to, and she did this with the help of Chinese medicine and the help of expression and speaking. That the energy started to come to the bay, and she did this with different rounds, different passages, and the first was the lungs, and then she did again a whole circle of inversion, and then it was in the stomach. And then she did another, and this was the sexual organs. And then she did another round, and she came to the feet. And when she came to the feet, in every round she could see a kind of deblocage, the deblocking process, so that finally the energy could go to the final basic part. And in every level she touched, things started to redevelop as they would have been blocked, and the development and deployment of the organs were almost stopped in this moment when the traumatization happened. and she had this experience, this metamorphose experience with this patient, and she's now explaining us why she gave this example.
Un qui est plus habituel n'ont pas cette force. Et là, d'un seul coup, c'est un personnage qui est redressé, qui est beaucoup plus grand. Tout n'est pas libéré, il reste encore des choses à libérer en haut, mais il devient fort et puissant. Il est vraiment, d'ailleurs, il est reconnu, puisqu'il fait du tai chi, il est reconnu maintenant par le prof de tai chi qui vient le voir. D'un seul coup, c'est comme si c'est un autre personnage. Il y a autre chose qui émane de lui. C'est la libération de cette émotion de peur à un moment crucial, qui est celui de la puberté, qui est à lâcher. Voilà. Je vous raconte cette histoire pour dire que la représentation la plus efficace pour moi de la vie, c'est celle des transformations des émotions. Plus on s'intéresse à la transformation des émotions, plus on est capable, en tant que thérapeute, d'aider les gens à libérer leur corps. Parce que ce qui bloque le corps, c'est les émotions bloquées, qui ne se sont jamais libérées, parfois très anciennes. Hein. Dans mon cas, apparemment, j'étais dans le ventre de ma mère, quand il y a eu des émotions très fortes, puisque sa mère était en train de mourir, alors qu'elle était enceinte de 3 mois de moi-même, et qui ont dû me marquer très profondément. Mais peut-être c'était encore plus ancien. Donc, on est au niveau de l'invisible, du non représentable, mais simplement du passage, de la métamorphose. Si on était capable de représenter la métamorphose, ça se saurait. Mais on ne sait pas. Et c'est cet aspect-là qui est le plus important dans la vie d'une personne. Les personnes qui se sentent libérées, c'est parce que les émotions, ou plusieurs souvent, qui les bloquaient, se sont lâchées. Elles ont fait un travail qui a permis de lâcher. Le travail que je fais, personnellement, que j'ai mis au point, ne parle pas. Je ne parle pas. Je ne demande pas de raconter la vie autrement que pour saisir le moment aigu où quelque chose s'est bloqué. C'est le corps qui se met à parler durant les séances. Et ce sont les émotions qui sont le vecteur de ces transformations. C'est leur transformation qui transforme le corps. Amicalement.
So she's speaking precisely about this this metamorphose, where in this process of liberation of the body, of these inscriptions, emotional inscriptions, which again block. And one of them, and this is the French word, is lâcher, but it is let things go, and which is a semi-active process and how do you say, accompany the process. So how you can help a person. The person itself is liberating itself from this, and for her the strongest representation is our representations to help this transformation of emotions and to help the body to live in another form. This is what I add to it now, is that that this memory, again we spoke about this, you have this information, you're playing this this program is reproducing and reproducing. And with that, you are in a distance between the presence, the real presence, and the program, which is in the past. So you have this gap, and this is sometimes almost schizophrenic. How are you able, and we come into what we have said in the beginning, the radical presence, how and which instruments you can use to be really here and to go, and you can't erase them, but you can have you can learn to disconnect this program, the historical part, from the present part. And this is the moment when you have this moment of liberation, when you have the moment of experience and let things, or let it go, or lâcher prise. We will hear this again with the maître de Qigong, who's saying lâcher prise, the let things go is not indifferent. So nothing, anything goes, nothing is important, let it go. It's this lâcher prise, let the things go in the consciousness and being there. It's not being in history, but being here with all this attention, which is the strongest, because then you have to let these things be behind, and not by not seeing them, but seeing them without emotions, and this, or without this kind of emotions which are triggering processes. And this is one aspect. I think you asked her a question.
Oui, j'ai posé la question à Martine sur justement cette affirmation de la non-représentation. Je pense que d'une manière schématique, parce qu'il y a quand même des images très fortes derrière ce que tu dis, de manière au moins schématique, on arriverait, je pense, à représenter ça.
Because, again, for those who haven't been here, it's 20 years ago that we made an exhibition with Martin.
Oui, justement, il faut le paramètre temps dans la représentation. C'est l'élément sur lequel on verra fortement cette notion de temps.
Incredible institution in Paris, which is the Center for of Sciences. City des Sciences, the City of Sciences, and we worked on the permanent exhibition in this institution about the body in health and in ill situations, and the representation of the body in different medical concepts. And she was the biologist expert who worked with us on these representations and did a workshop, a setting, where she brought Chinese medicines and abendländische, occidental medicines together, and they haven't had the right to speak one word. So they just had to exchange via images and representations about their concepts of, and maybe you.
One of the bases of this exhibition, I think, is also to say la santé,
the health.
So health is not the same concept in each language.
Yeah.
So health is it has each language has another concept behind the health. So also the grammatic or the vocabulary bring us two difference. But I will go back to the question I asked about this representation. I think we need this dimension of time, but why we cannot represent in your say it? I think it's interesting. You try to express it. But I give you there answer for.
It's very good. Salut Martine. Attends, on va faire une chose. Yeah. Ouais. Oui, c'est bon.
Of course, we need a definition of time, just to know where we are, I would say. That's a big difference before. It's not where we are going, but where we are at what time. And it's something very important. For example, on my example, I use the question of time. the work was very strong because it was at the time of the modification of the body. It was the time of the transformation of between a young little boy to a man. It's because it was at this moment, which is very important, that it was possible to have something which works. And there are very different times in life when the persons are different. And everyone follows that. And in fact, when I worked in exhibition, I was very interested by short exhibition. It was possible to bring the person who comes inside to just feel something different. Just move inside themselves when they were visiting the exhibition. Because it was, and about universe, I think about the exhibition on
C'était les sciences.
C'était des sciences, hein?
in Arad.
Yeah.
Arad is it was, I was coming to a very old time to show that the medicine has not changed, but also has changed a lot, and put the visitor in a context where they can feel. It was not knowing, but feel something about what medicine, how medicine works, how it was changing the way the people are. It was more behind than the fact which was important. And I think that I said, but it's important to put the person in where they are.
Yeah, I think it's very important what you said. I try to pick some elements out of this. First, what you have said about this, if you do an exhibition which should transmit the concept of medicine, for you it was very important that it was not in the first stake about knowledge, but it was about feeling. So it was about feeling and perceiving these different concepts. And that it's not because you're so much interested in this transformation, but it's about also transformation. And you try to show that often in some medicines, the concept of medicine hasn't changed, but the surrounding changed. And what is for you came back to, and I haven't translated this before, and it's a very important thing. You gave the example of this young man because his traumatization moment was in the moment when he was destabilized and in transformation, because it was a puberty moment. And these are moments when you have a lot of impact. You have because you are in this fragile moment. I think Sandra will speak about this too. That these fragile moments are in the same time dangerous moments if you are in the manipulation, and that's why maybe also we have all this phobocratie, this creating these panic scenarios, because we have the most manipulative access to the body, and on the same time, it's also a potential moment, because you also have influence in these fragile moments. And I think what you do with the exhibition is not affirmation; it's more opening and irritation. Am I right?
You had to go.
Yes, you're right. Everybody is working to in relationship with person is this way of working. Either for me now, we have their body, and it is very, for me, it is very interesting. But when I was looking at the exhibition, it was the Arabic medicine at the 11th century. That means very far away. But it was also our country. It was also the medicine of today.
Okay.
It was both. There was a link all the time between the older one, 2 centuries before, and what the people were living like their body by visiting the exhibition. That was the thing for me. And
it's interesting because what you're saying there is almost because you presented the medicine of the 11th century and the contemporary medicine, and you made this kind of, and this is another thing we will systematize, this kind of, and with traumatization we have the same, but we have not access, this kind of time shifts, which are time starts to be like a component which you can, which is shrinking, and by experience. And this is it's interesting. It can be the problematic and again the productive element.
yes, you're right. I wanted to get also about the cookies and prison. First is that emotion doesn't say.
The emotion doesn't say.
Yes, something which appears impactful. If it stays somewhere, it's because there is a problem there. But it is not when somebody is free and in his body, the emotion comes through. It doesn't stay, it doesn't stop, it doesn't have to make the practice I made. Because now I am in contact with many persons who are teachers of Chinese medicine, because I was very interested in Chinese medicine. And one of the persons I was working with suddenly everything opened up inside his body. That means that it does not, we don't need now to show that it's good or not good. It does not need to, we have no need. But without need, it's better than all the others. That means, you know, when you let go of the thing, then you are free.
Yeah.
If you are free, you are better.
Interesting. I will just transfer a little bit because we can't hear so much acoustically. So what you said or what you insist is that the emotions, and since you have explained which important roles emotion plays in the condition of the person, is that normally if there are not problems, the emotion is not staying, it's not stagnation, and the flow is going on, so it's coming and going and it's going through. But if there are these disturbing informations, it starts to stay. And Remy, you could speak about this, the following interpreter. It's like water. If it's stagnant and it's not in flow, it starts to smell, and it's it's polluting the whole system. And for you, the important thing is to reactivate this transformation process. And it's interesting, again,